I can't think of any other way to start this video other than by letting you know that Aeromexico domestic business class is a lot better than what you might think it is. And thanks as always to the fine folks over at Surfshark for sponsoring this video. Buenos dias, everyone. My name is Scott. I am the guy who writes everything over at SANspotter.com, and I am here in Mexico City this morning to catch an Aeromexico 737 MAX 9 in Premier Class to San Diego. Tijuana. I'll actually be walking across the border into the U.S. via the Cross-Border Express at the Tijuana Airport, assuming they let me back in, of course. So, yeah, this will be my first time on an Aeromexico 737 MAX, and from what I've seen and heard, they are a lot nicer on the inside than the aircraft they replaced. I gotta wonder though, are 737 MAX issues still a thing? I'm not really sure if it's appropriate to be just a wee bit worried about this. I'm not gonna lie, even before I walked into the airport this morning, I was Googling the latest news about the MAX, which, thinking back on it, was not the smartest thing to do to calm my nerves. I much prefer the ignorance is bliss approach. Anyway, thanks to having the Surfshark app installed on my phone, I was able to get unbiased 737 MAX news from around the world by simply changing my IP address to anywhere else other than Mexico. With Surfshark, that is extremely easy to do. Simply browse the list of available servers located all over the globe, select one, wait for it to connect, and voila. Google thinks that I'm located somewhere other than Mexico, so it won't feed me articles from Aeromexico stating how perfect and safe their 737 MAX aircraft are. Anyway, Surfshark is more than just an app that will allow you to virtually change your location. It's an extremely versatile and award-winning VPN that will encrypt all of the data your device transmits and receives. It'll block annoying ads and protect your devices from viruses and malware. I've been using it since 2019, especially when I travel, because, well, you just never really know how secure the mobile networks really are when you're jumping from one to the next. It's also a really good deal. Check this out. Using the promo code SCOTT with the link in the description below, you can get Surfshark for 83% off what they normally charge to new subscribers. They're also going to throw in an extra 3 months on top of that for free, which, if I'm being honest, is insanely generous of them considering how versatile of a VPN it really is. Oh, and yeah, the 737 MAX 9 checks out. Let's get this show on the road. You know, even though I really like to arrive at the airport early, I don't recommend it here in Mexico City. It's a relatively small airport, and therefore, good luck trying to find a place to sit. I decided to seek refuge in the Salon Premier Club, located at the center of the main concourse on the second level here in Terminal 2. Kicking things off with a gut-busting dairy smoothie sounded like a good idea. Why not, right? It's not like I'm about to be locked in a metal tube for the next 3 hours or anything. But yeah, as far as this lounge goes, it was alright. Nothing fancy. The lack of food is worth noting, as is the 2 fully staffed bars with seemingly unlimited alcohol. Unfortunately, it wasn't for me, which is saying a lot because I really didn't want to go back out to the main terminal. But the good news was that I was able to find a somewhat healthy lunch and a quiet corner of the airport to enjoy it in. Yep, this is pretty much the only place in the entirety of Terminal 2 with windows to the outside world. But that was the least of my problems. I'm thinking that maybe it was just a little stupid of me to stack an entire day's worth of fiber on top of a dairy smoothie right before a long flight. Gate 66 will be our departure point to Tijuana today, and through the magic of video editing, Welcome to the boarding process for Aeromexico flight number 176. Yeah, we're about 45 minutes behind schedule so far, but it's all good. I'm in no hurry. Speaking of not being in a hurry, they board planes just a little differently in Mexico than they do in other parts of the world. Just because they call your zone number doesn't actually mean that it's your turn to board the aircraft. It's simply an indication that it's your turn to stand in the jet bridge and wait while they finish preparing said aircraft. All in all, it took about 14 minutes to walk down the jet bridge to reach the boarding door, which, if I recall, is 1 minute faster than the last time I boarded a flight from Mexico City to Tijuana. At least they're making progress. Now this is what I like to see. The last time I was on an Aeromexico 737, it was a rather dirty and disappointing experience. Things have definitely changed with the 737 MAX, and nearly all of it for the better, starting with these highly adjustable footrests. I'm not normally a footrest person at all, but I'm totally digging this. The seats are much better as well. They're a lot thinner than they used to be, but they are more comfortable, which, I know, it doesn't make a lot of sense. However, for me and my bony butt, it seems like a nice upgrade. The best thing about thinner seats is how much less space they occupy, which in turn helps to make the cabin feel more open and spacious. That's just my opinion anyway. The amount of comments I get on my videos from people who hate the thin seat trend will no doubt disagree with me on this. And that's perfectly okay. The important thing is that, from what I've seen so far, Aeromexico is trying really hard to be a better airline. Now, if only I could figure out how to be a better airline reviewer. At the beginning of this video, you heard me say that I'm flying Aeromexico from Mexico City to San Diego today. It's going to be via Tijuana, of course, since Aeromexico doesn't fly to the San Diego airport. Interestingly enough, even though Aeromexico doesn't serve San Diego directly, you can choose San Diego as your destination when booking a flight on their website or app. By doing so, you'll be prepaying for a one-way ticket for the Cross-Border Express Bridge. And surprise, surprise, there seems to be a slight delay here. It's just all part of the Mexico City airport experience, I guess. But anyway, because the Tijuana airport literally straddles the US-Mexico border, these flights to Tijuana are extremely convenient for anyone whose destination is San Diego. And for those that are curious, I'm sure there's at least one of you out there, so far so good on the smoothie and fiber situation. Wait for it. Yeah, it seems like I'm not the only one excited to be headed to Tijuana today. Anyway, with a scheduled flying time of 3 hours and 45 minutes, I'm very much looking forward to getting to see what the full Aeromexico 737 MAX 9 Premier Class experience is all about. After the cloud B-roll, of course. First up is a quick overview of the in-flight entertainment system, which is pretty much exactly what you saw in my Aeromexico 787 Premier Class video. The selection of content is a little weak, but it's more than enough for short to medium-length domestic flights such as this. Personally, I don't care because I'm going to watch the map anyway. So yeah, everything looks good so far, and I don't want to jinx myself, but this is turning out to be a really nice experience. I mean, there's even purple mood lighting emanating from under the seats. Even the cat was digging that. To be completely honest, prior to this flight, I had no idea what kind of food Aeromexico was serving in domestic business class these days. Turns out, it's fairly basic. There was a choice of 2 different sandwiches, which I can tell you weren't all that different based on comparing mine with the one my seatmate chose. I went with the classic BLT. My seatmate chose the club sandwich, and they looked nearly identical. They probably tasted the same as well, so I don't think you can go wrong with either one. Unless you're not into sandwiches, and in that case, bring your own food. And if you don't mind, please bring a little extra for me. I'm still hungry. For those of you who are wondering what seat recline is like, it's actually pretty good. Watching the video screen will be more difficult if the person in front of you is fully reclined, but it's manageable. And for those of you looking for more entertaining airline review videos than the crap that I produce, I recommend Neil from the Moments in the Sky YouTube channel, as always. Otherwise, well, here's some blurry footage of the ground. Anyway, with just a little under an hour to go now before our arrival, the cabin crew came by with another round of snacks. I went with the healthy-ish option, and I ended up making a mess. My apologies to the cleaning crew in Tijuana. Speaking of Aeromexico employees, I was really impressed by the cabin crew on this flight. They were up in the aisle the entire time, staying on top of drink refills and offering general assistance to anyone who needed it. They even chipped in to help out with the dirty diaper after the baby in the seat directly behind me had a massive blowout. I'm just glad it was the baby and not me. And on that not-so-pleasant thought, welcome to Tijuana. The city itself isn't all that much to look at, but the scenery surrounding it is nothing short of stunning. There's a reason why there are so many songs about Baja California. But yeah, the most interesting thing about this approach is the fact that we're actually skimming the US-Mexico border, and it's very easy to see where that line is by the sharp contrast in developed land versus non-developed land. Just a few more seconds to go here, and welcome back to Mexico. Which is really weird to say, since San Diego is literally within view here on the ground, and I'm not going to have to walk very far to reach it.
Passengers bound for San Diego through the cross-border express might proceed to the entryway on the right-hand side.
If I had to guess, based on the amount of people I overheard speaking English, I'd say that about half of the people on this flight were headed over to San Diego, which doesn't surprise me at all since the Aeromexico 737 MAX 9 business class or premier class experience is really nice. I highly recommend doing this if you ever get the chance. Huge thanks as always to the SANspotter patrons, Aaron Slater, David Kelly, Riley Wingo, and everyone else on this list. Your support is what keeps this channel going, and I am beyond thankful for your generosity. Anyway, that's all I've got for you this time, and I hope you enjoyed it. Assuming I don't get lost on my way across the bridge into the US, I'll catch you in the next one.